Welcome to Property Investing with Abby. On today's episode, we're going to look at my 5 top property fails and how you can avoid them. So, property fail number 1. So this was way back in my journey as a property investor, and it was one of the very first properties I bought. So I was doing a buy, refurb, refinance, where you buy with cash, you refurb it, you pop a mortgage on it, and you pull all your money out. Now, to make that work, there's a number of different things you need to get right, but fundamentally you need to get the end value right. So I overestimated the end value by £10,000 and had a shock when the valuer come and went, it's not 65,000, this property's worth 55,000. What was my fail? Well, I didn't know what I didn't know, and I didn't understand the 3 things that valuers look for when they value a property. So that was huge learning for me. I managed to get most of my money out, and I only left £3,500 in the deal in the end. So instead of 65,000, they valued it at 55,000. So I still put a 75% loan to value mortgage on it, pulled out 41, paid back my investor, and I was left out of pocket. So it was an expensive learning, but that's what people say, isn't it? When you fail, it's not failing, it's just a lesson learned. So I have never done that ever since, and I've always spent lots of time on my end comparables to make sure the end valuation will be right. Property fail number 2. So this property was a repossession. Now, when properties get repossessed, they go on Rightmove, and the agent that's selling them, they take an offer, but it has to stay on Rightmove for 30 days, which means you're in jeopardy of getting gazumped. Gazump means when somebody comes, you've offered, they've accepted your offer, but somebody comes and offers over you and the vendor accepts that offer. So it doesn't normally happen with normal properties, more with repossessions, but this property, I got gazumped. Not once, not twice, but friggin' times. The problem is when you get gazumped as well, you've also got fees that you've had to pay, because with a repossession, you offer on it, you get your solicitor working straight away, very, very fast, very important, because you need to exchange on that property quickly. The quicker you exchange, it doesn't stay on for 30 days and you've got it. So each time my solicitor started work, which meant I paid my solicitor, and each time I got gazumped. So the learning for me was my solicitor wasn't the fastest, so they should have sped up. The other side solicitor, so the bank solicitor, was so slow getting stuff across, so I should have set out my stall in the beginning. So lots of learning, 3 gazumped. I let go of the property in the end and thought, sod it, I'll go find something else. I'm not getting gazumped anymore. So it just cost me solicitor fees. I think it ended up with £600 worth of fees. I took the lesson and thought I'm going to be very careful when going for a repossession again. They are good, but I don't want to get gazumped. Property fail number 3. Now, many of us have been in this position, and I'm laughing because even though I'm laughing, I could have cried at the time. But again, it's lessons learned, isn't it? It's a gift when you fail because it's lessons learned. So this property, I went over budget, and I went extremely over budget, not just a small amount over budget. Now, this was a blessing in disguise, really. So this was Bakewell. This is a house that I bought and refurbed and then made into a holiday let, and it's made enough money now so the over budget spend isn't a problem. But back then it was, because I only had this much of money and the refurb kept going up and up and up, and it went up because I didn't manage it properly from the beginning. I didn't have a full budget of works that I was working to, and I kept changing my mind because this was going to be a holiday let. It's going to be beautiful, my family were going to go, so I didn't want that sink, I wanted this sink, and I didn't want that bathroom, I wanted this bathroom. So I totally screwed my own property deal. So yeah, and a refurb that should have cost me around the 30,000 mark ended up £56,000. God, he's still not forgiven me for it because I had to phone him and tell him that we'd gone over and over. But the end value was great, and we ended up flipping that property. So we bought it for £375, spent £56,000 on it, and we made about £188,000 net after we'd done everything. So not a massive deal, but at the time. So it really makes me think, number 1, my emotions shouldn't be involved in the property. Number 2, I should have a defined budget in the beginning and understand what I'm willing to do. And anything additional I add has to add extra value for the end valuation or the end income if it's holiday guests, etc. But yeah, keep control of your budget. Don't let your emotions get involved, and try and curtail it. This one worked out well for me. It's a good lesson, and I won't be doing that in future. My 4th property fail is having having one of my holiday lets empty. So I've grown quite quickly with property investing in my portfolio, and I'm always doing different things at once. I run a business as well, an estate agency, so very busy. I do training, you know, there's lots of things that take my time and attention. And the problem is where your focus goes, normally that's the thing that's going to go. So with everything, even though you have managers and agents that look after properties for you, you still need to be aware what's going on. So this particular property, a little holiday let, but the problem was it was empty for 3 months and I didn't pick it up because I was so busy looking at everything else. I'd not properly looked at it each month, not looked at the money, and it's when my accountant said, do you know it's not making any money? I was like, it's not making any money, it's been empty. Why was it empty? Because there was a problem with the booking manager and all the online travel agents. The link had been knocked off, so it wasn't actually marketed, so nobody could go and book the property. Crazy. The big lesson here is when you're running holiday lets, it doesn't take a lot of time if you set up your systems and processes right and you've got your booking manager involved. Some people use site cottages, you know, some people use smaller ones. It doesn't matter who you use. What matters is once a month you sit down and you properly look at it and you properly feed back to your booking agent what's to happen. You check your reviews, because nobody looks after your property like they do. You know, sites cottages run thousands of properties across the UK. Your little one, they're not necessarily going to pick up. So once a month now, I have a couple of hours in my diary and I look at all my holiday lets and I'm checking the reviews for the last month, checking the money, checking I'm happy with the nightly rate, all the knowledge that I know, and it takes me 2-3 hours, but it keeps my properties full. Don't let your property let be empty. Fail number 5. This is the biggest fail I made. So I really found out about property about 6 years ago when I met Annika and Paul Smith, met Touchstone Education. It then took me 2.5 years before I started investing in property, because I knew what I was doing, I had the knowledge, but I was afraid, I didn't take action. I was getting a comfortable salary, you know, all them things that go into it. That's the biggest mistake I made. If I'd have started 2.5 years earlier, think where I could have been now. So the biggest mistake you can make is not invest. Property prices are increasing. On average, we went up 14% last year. Savills are predicting over the next 5 years, we are going to go up by about 21 to 25%. So the biggest fail you can make is not investing in property. So whatever you do, go out today, start property investing. So thank you for tuning in for today's episode. We've discussed my top 5 property fails. Now, if you guys have had some property fails, if you've had some bumps along the road, I'd love to hear from you. So pop in the comments what your property fail has been. There is no bad feelings about failing. You know, failing isn't a problem. Failing and not learning from it is the problem. But to fail, we've got to fail. Everybody's got to fail to go that, you know, to go further. And every failing is a gift, it's a lesson. So don't be worried about that. Pop it in the comments below, because I'd love to hear any learning from you guys for all of us. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you next time.